Wait. You got five.
Still waiting for either one of these to go live.
God damn it! I almost won against Lich King.
All right, cool. I got the YouTube live up.
Oh, that's
That one's going?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
It is live. Welcome.
All right, hold on. The YouTube is live, and Kaz, where's the
That should be live.
Twitch is
Sunny salutations.
Okay, there we go.
Salutations.
Twitch is waiting for it.
Salutations.
Twitch is live. All right. Welcome, everyone. We are here for day 2. This is Overcast. This is the weekly roundup podcast by your boys here at KG. I am Ozzy, the main tank for KG. I am here followed by one of our DPS and team captain, Talon. Also followed by Jay Cooper, the off tank, and Cosmich, our main healer.
Hello.
Today is going to be a podcast based around the LFG or looking for group system, along with the endorsement system. And we're going to delve into a little bit of, is Toxicity truly down? I have been seeing statistics come up from Blizzard. I saw your Overwatch put out a post talking about it and giving some statistical numbers, but we're going to go a little bit deeper than just statistical numbers and talk a little more about personal experiences and stuff that they've seen along the way in their travels of playing the game. So let's start this podcast off nice and right with the looking for group or LFG system. I guess I'll start this little debacle here, and I personally think it's actually something that Overwatch should have had from day 1. I believe we should not have had to wait an entire year for this to come through. Although I do understand where Blizzard was coming from in the scenario, and I get where Blizzard was coming from when they were wanting to leave the ability to play Overwatch to your likes and dislikes, to be able to switch at will and be free at any shape and form and time. But I feel like this should have always been an option to be able to do, and I really don't think it would have taken away from anything that the game currently had to offer. Talon, what's your thoughts on that?
I think while I agree with the fact that they should have had LFG implemented for some time, and that they should have been, if not working on that a lot sooner than when they did, I feel like all in all, I think I personally felt like I've had a much better time playing just regular ladder for the most part. It's a bit difficult because you got to find the right team, which is always going to be a thing. But, I felt like there was one good match that we just randomly LFG'd for. We actually managed to do rather well in it. Now, I agree that there is still a problem with, toxicity, but that's what you're going to get when you play, a video game online with countless strangers from across the world. But in the matches that I've personally been in since I've started using LFG, I've seen quite an abysmal amount compared to how much I'd seen prior to that. And I think it's honestly due to LFG. So thank you, Blizzard.
Agreed. Very much agreed. I've definitely enjoyed playing not only competitive ladder a lot more, I've also learned to play quick play a lot more, considering I know a lot of people, when they go to play quick play, they just go to have fun and do what they want and all that stuff. But sometimes you want to go to quick play and you want to play something specifically. But sometimes you really can't do that because, you still need to have some form of synergy, some form of, healing, tank, or something along those lines, just to so you could at least attempt to be able to win the quick play match, which I know a lot of people really don't care about winning in quick play. They just want to go to have fun. But if you
stuff out, yeah.
Exactly. But if you want to go and really enjoy the game and play it the way it is meant and supposed to be played, then you're really going to want to try to have some sort of symmetry to it. And giving that LFG system what it is and making it a thing has made it to where that symmetry and that ability to play the game is now 100% there. You can play the game the way you want. I am a main tank player. I love it, and I don't main tank because it's a necessity. I main tank because I love the concept of it. But Overwatch has 28 heroes now. 28 heroes. I don't want to just play the same 3 heroes again and again and again for my entirety of ever playing the game. Variety, man. Mix that up and have some fun and enjoy the game. But this is what LFG has given me. It's given me the option to be able to spread my wings out, stretch my arms, be able to be like, hey, I want to play a support for a change that I never get to play. Well, guess what? Now it can be played, and now I can play a support. So, coming from someone that I've LFG'd with a few times, and specifically I'm talking over here to Mr. Cooper. Me and him have played QP a lot, making the Tank Bros videos that we've made, doing tank combos and stuff like that. There's been a lot of times where we haven't been able to have that option to duo tank because sometimes people pick it before we even get the chance. But Cooper, I need to ask, what is your opinion of this LFG system? Doesn't sound too confident.
I'm still debating on it because a lot of the time, at least when I've tried using it, even though people aren't really coming in and being toxic, and I haven't really seen anybody going off of the role they said they would play, not a lot of people like to communicate. Not
That
at
is
all.
still a problem.
They don't
Oh, yeah.
talk too much when you get into the match. When you're waiting for Q to load up, and usually they're just like, "Oh, how you doing? Oh, you play this. Oh, I can't see what you play. That's nice." They just,
Fairly
just
pleasantries.
relative small talk, and then as soon as you're in game, it's maybe the occasional call out, and that's
Oh,
it.
exactly.
And then it's pretty much just play it, and either they're pretty good, they know how to work in a team set, so they know, alright, wait until we have everybody, push in, tanks go first, DPS gets a flank pick off, push in, just basic stuff, so it works, and you can either do well or get rolled anyway. Or they're either complete trash players and they don't know how to play, and they're just playing in a solo queue meta still.
Hey, you be
Whether
Whether
careful
that's
there.
QP or comp.
I've definitely seen a big notice in things, especially with the whole non-communication thing. The times that I have used the LFG system, I have noticed that a lot of people, even though you have the option to, you can gear it to where people have to play what they're choosing, which is good and is what it needs to be. It's just like any other MOBA or any other type of game of its nature. But to have the option to make them to say yes, they have a mic. I mean, you can't make someone tell the truth. You're like, oh, tell the truth. Don't lie on the internet. That's never been done before.
Nobody lies on the internet ever. That's a sacred rule no one's ever broken.
But when you have somebody that says they have a mic and then they get on it and then they don't talk, then that's just defeating the purpose and making it to where you can't have somebody that is willing to talk and willing to want to play the game and win the game. Is now you are in a crutch. And it's actually gotten me to kind of shy away from the LFG a little. I still use it. I still 100% will always believe that it is a wonderful, wonderful mechanic and has been needed in this game for a very long time. But one of the things I will always say is that I believe that it still needs tweaking. I don't believe it's perfect. I don't think it is the greatest thing ever because it still needs work. But it's also kind of hard because the only way to truly make it, I think, what Blizzard's really wanting it to be is you'd have to micromanage the community and really make them stick to their guns on it.
And they're not already trying to micromanage the community.
It's already at that point, which is something that's pretty sad. And a lot of people that have already left Overwatch, looking from the outside in, has mentioned that as well, that it's getting kind of micromanaged. But it's the people, it's the community that is around it, and it's unfortunate the way it is. But I mean, in all honesty, I feel that it's like the community is getting bunched up as a whole of being bad, when it's not as bad as what people think. Like, I've heard horror stories from like Dota, League of Legends, and stuff of that nature. So I mean, I feel that Overwatch has it kind of fairly easy, if we're being in all honesty.
Yeah. And you know, something that I really do appreciate, I know a lot of people might be having conflicting thoughts on the LFG system, but LFG system and endorsements alone, one with each other, probably won't do too much. But that's why I'm really happy that they handed both of these tools at the same time. So that way, when you do your LFG, you can set it so that way you only want endorsement levels 1 and up. If you have a 0 endorsement or 1 endorsement, you don't want to play with that. And I really enjoy the endorsement level for that, the endorsements for that, because it really shows you who's doing what. Because to get to level endorsement 2, you need at least at a minimum of 15 endorsements. And if some one person is just constantly being a troll or just throwing or not being helpful, chances are they're not going to get a lot. So, that's going to weed out a good portion of all the trolls or the toxic people out there. But to get to level 2, you got to have at least 50 endorsements. So you really got to get that up there. So
Agreed.
I feel like once you've put yourself to a certain endorsement level, you try an LFG for a team of your endorsements or up, chances are you've already segregated a good portion of all the toxic people. So as long as you really, really, really try and capitalize off the endorsement system, you'll get a reward of not having to deal with people like that anymore. But getting to that point is the struggle, I guess. You gotta climb out of the toxicity before you get to the sweetness on the other side.
Oh, I agree. Well, moving down the list here, as someone that I see solo queue a lot by himself, and someone I know for a fact has used that LFG system probably more than all of us here combined, Mr. Kaz, Mr. Mercy Main, yourself, you gotta give me some heads up. What is the LFG like? An extensive review of this LFG that I know I see you using a lot.
LFG is very nice, but you have to be careful with it. You have to search for what you have to look for specific things. You have to first see if what you play is even available for the group. But you have to check the SR, make sure you're within the range. You have to see what that person plays. You have to see if they want communication or if they want profiles to be public or private, which is another thing that was added that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
It's going along with this. It's part of this discussion we're having today, so no worries.
I really like the LFG, but if you were to watch me go into LFG, you would see that it takes me 20 minutes just to find a group.
Not always do you stick with that group after the match anyway. You might decide that it didn't work. So
It's if they weren't crap.
Yeah. But see, to go off of what you said there, caused a snowball off of that into the private profile system. Yesterday, okay, this is actually a fairly good instance. Yesterday, one of our DPS here on KG eSports, me and him decided to duo queue for a little while before I had to leave for the evening, and so we duo queued in some comp, and we played 3 matches. 3 matches with almost the same people in 2 of them. And in both of those matches, we had one Zarya that was constantly talking. He was a very nice guy. You could clearly tell like he was just trying to be a cool, friendly environment that I think Overwatch was really meaning and hoping to be. then the rest of our team was either very low talk, not a lot of speak, and we had at least two. No, I think we had one every match. There was at least two people with private profiles, at least two. Like couldn't see anything, and then I had one person ask, "Is anyone's profile not private so we can see what we're playing?" I told them yes. I said my profile is public. I have nothing to hide. If you want to see what I have and what I play and what I main so we can work around that, sure, go for it. Because I want to win this game. I come to competitive to win the games that I play. I don't come to competitive to goof around. If I want to goof around, I'll go to quick play. But I come to competitive to win this game and climb the ladder. So if seeing what I play will help you, then good. Granted, I do understand that people take that and run it up for a mile and then into the ditch and run it through the muck and the sludge and make a system that is statistically should be harmless and turn it into something much worse. They had their profiles private, so I had no idea what we were playing. So when they picked what they picked, everything was fine. Like I was like, oh, okay, so they picked a Widow and Hanzo. It's double snipers. It's currently what is quotations meta right now. That is the most powerful combination you can run at this moment. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, problem was our Widow wasn't hitting shots. Now, I didn't say anything, but we had our comp was myself as Reinhardt. My DPS player also flexing to off tank was my Zarya. We had a Widow, Hanzo, Brigitte, and a Mercy. Problem number one, we don't have enough healing to support this comp. I said that out the gate. We didn't. I wasn't a dick about it. I wasn't being rude. I simply stated that we could probably use another healer instead of Brigitte or use Brigitte in a damage slot, as she's commonly played in OWL and in other things, contenders and so on and so forth. Well, there was no response from anyone on the team except the DPS main that was talking that eventually he went Zarya later. So my DPS said, hey, I can DPS if you want a Zarya. He said, sure, sorry, my profile was private. I didn't know how to change it. So he had no clue how to make his profile public because he had no problem with it. Which that's number one mistake I think they did, is where they made the profiles stock private. They are defaulted to private, which right then in itself is a mistake. What? So they changed. We swapped. My DPS player went to a damage dealer. He went over to Zarya. Well, the Widow was still silent. They were in the voice channel. They spoke up near the end when I called for a push forward. We were on Eichenwald, first point push. I called to push forward. Let's move up. Let's engage the enemy. Let's fight. Well, he stood back and got picked 4 times by the enemy Hanzo. This is a Widowmaker getting picked by a Hanzo. So we keep pushing at pretty much a 5v6 and finally win the fight out because they messed up and we managed a big ult fight and we won. Well, we took first point. The person was still on Widowmaker. You know, I will never be the type of person to flame anyone for their performance. You know, you paid for this game. You have a right to try as hard as you can on whatever you want. I understand that. But when you're not contributing anything, when you're playing something that clearly looks like you have either never touched in your life or you have no experience, I simply suggested, I was like, hey, Widow, would you be okay going to another damage dealer so we can get some consistent damage on the front line? Or maybe play something you're a little more comfortable with? Instantly left voice channel. That's all I said. I did not flame him. I did not call out his bad performance. I simply was trying to give constructive criticism to help our team out so we can win the fight. We wound up winning that match. I, as Reinhardt, had gold damage, gold elims, and objective time. My DPS had silver because he changed the DPS later than I did. So, that is something that happened in one match. Next match, same thing. Widowmaker, we had one healer. This wasn't even directed at the Widow, who had, once again, a private profile. I said, Widow, would you mind going to another healer so we can have some healing instead of the Widowmaker? We were on Nepal, where Widow is a fairly niche-ish pick. We could have used something else like a Lucio or a Zenyatta, or heck, even a Brigitte would have been efficient in this scenario. But just anything would have really helped us in the scenario. They instantly left voice chat, and so did 2 other people. The minute I spoke up about asking for another set of heals to help with the front line. Why? Why leave? So I blew it off. We lost that match because we had no communication with our team. 0. None. We go to our next match. This one is on Blizzard World. Blizzard World, we had our Zarya that we had last game, that we had 2 games ago. He got queued back with us. He was the only one that talked. No one else talked. One of our DPS players got in there to flame the Zarya for not using his bubbles properly. And then we asked him if he could go to another healer so we didn't solo heal. Left the voice channel yet again. Why? Now, why go into a competitive environment, have your profile privated to where you cannot, your team can't see what you play to possibly help you out, to contribute help, to win the match, and then you just leave voice channel the minute anyone gives you any type of criticism? Why join the voice channel at all at that point? Why play in this competitive environment at all? If you want to play Widow, hey man, I'm all for it. Go play Widow. Go play Widow to your heart's content. But do it in quick play or scrimmages or arcade. Don't come to a ladder competitive scene where arguably Overwatch is extremely competitive on its competitive play, and consistently just do the same thing. Leave, throw, next match. In all technicality, I should be able to report that person for grieving me. But you can't, because it's not under what is technically considered grieving. Now, why do that? That's why I have problems with the private profile system. In a way, I do agree with its concept and its ideology, to make it to where you can play Overwatch and not be judged by what you can and cannot play. Because in all honesty, I should never be able to play anything other than Reinhardt and Winston. But I've been playing a lot more of Orisa lately, and I've been loving it because I love Orisa. I love playing her as a character. She's fun to play. But I never get to play her because she's not been as meta, but no one's ever flamed me for picking her.
Ooh, with Symmetra coming around the corner with that TP, saw a little bit of a Seagull playing that bouncing bunker.
Bouncing bunker, yeah.
The bouncing bunker, yeah. That could be really, really interesting. But
absolutely.
We'll do that next time.
But I mean, guys, I need some help here. What is the point of private profile not only being standard, but also being a thing in a competitive environment?
Well,
in a competitive game where information, even communication to the minimal queue, is crucial to that team fight. Why?
I think it's mostly because at the end of the day, while this is a team game and, there is competitive mode and everything like that, Overwatch is designed to be a video game. People are here supposed to come on and play games, and if they want to play, quick play, they can play quick play, but if they want to learn a character without having to get flamed for it, you can't have somebody just go on and say, don't play this character, you don't ever play this character. It's kind of like having someone drive the back seat for you, I understand that. I think maybe there should be a limitation to private profiles. I think private profiles could be a standard minus competitive play. So when you queue up and when you're in there, you can actually check to see what other people's profiles are. But having it set for that experience, while it's made for everybody, it's made for everybody. So it covers both ends of the spectrum of those who are trying to actually play the game and work together like we are. And then there's those who want to play competitive Overwatch because it's harder than quick play. And that's literally their only reason. And unfortunately, this is a competitive mode, and this is a free-for-all, fuck around, mess around kind of free-for-all kind of deal where you can just, do whatever you want and just learn the characters there. It's unfortunate it is the way it is, but it's a single player game that has no campaign in the end. So it's the player's game in all sense of it. And unfortunately, that the standard is setting it to not private. I guess so that a way if someone creates an account and they start playing it from the get-go, it's private. But since they implemented that, not at the beginning of the game, it's done it for everybody, regardless if you wanted it that way or not, which I feel like is a bit silly. I think maybe they could have done it so that a way when it was kind of like Symmetra's deal, where it was like when you first, after you got on after the patch, it gave you the notification saying, hey, you don't have your teleport or interactability set. You need to set this before you play games. And it leaves that reminder in the text chat. I think having something like that pop up for your profile, except it was inverted so everyone starts as public. Oh, I don't want to keep a public profile. Here, let me go into my settings and swap it there. But Blizzard decided, Blizzard knows what Blizzard wants because, like they said, they're thinking 6 months into the future. They're already preparing for January stuff at this point. So, geez, thinking about the Chinese New Year, they already got that going around. So, I don't know. But what I do like is that they stated that some statistics on just LFG in general, which is nice. They said that it was like down by like 24 to 25% overall toxicity in America. Might need some fact checking, but it's a bit different in Britain. It's a lot less lower, but I guess that's just the kind of community over there. But it's just community dependent, and micromanaging the community like Blizzard's kind of pushing towards is a bit strange. They're trying to get an audience while retaining their audience, and they're trying to keep their cake and eat it too.
Agreed. I definitely agree. What about you, Coop? What is your thoughts here on this private profile system that they have right now?
It annoys me. It makes sense because I know people were asking for it, and like you should be able to hide what you want, whatever you want from other people, because people like their privacy, and Smurfs don't want to be known, even though it's obvious when you're a Smurf. You're not level 30 and as good as a GM. Get out of here. Get out of my plat game. Please, you're hurting me.
Very much
but
so.
I think they should have done the same thing with the teleporter interact key, which, by the way, still doesn't work for me. I have it set. It's even set in the settings, and it still tells me I can't teleport, so thank God we don't use Sim yet.
Thank you, Blizzard.
I keep
Definitely would
work.
just try turning it off and turning it back on again. That usually does the trick.
I have. It doesn't. It doesn't with this game. But they should have kept it as public and then told you to set it. Hey, if you want your profile to be private, you go into settings and you set it to private. That way we know who's purposely being a jerk and wanting to hide everything.
Specifically what you said there is what I see a lot of the main pros complaining about is boosters and smurfs and stuff like that and cheaters and all that. Like they can't look at their profile, they can't give an accurate report of that person anymore because it is 100% taken away. So that's something I've definitely been seeing a pretty sizable increase in complaints from the higher ups, and that was one of their main complaints when they started the private profile system. And here we are a couple weeks later, they still have the same complaint and nothing has changed. So Kaz, how do you feel about that private profile system? I know you play a lot of Mercy, and I know you want to play other main healers, but having that private profile, does it really make that much of a difference? Is it really that big of a deal?
I think it should be private for is for when you're in a competitive game, it should be private to the enemy team. So that way they don't have a leg up on what they have a good idea of what you're going to play. But when you're just like in quick play or in just a group, it shouldn't even be an option. It should just be public so people see what you play, know what you play.
Yes.
It could be set like for in sort of up in weird ways, I guess. I don't really know. It could be for like in general, if you were to just scroll to a person's name, like you go to your friend to social menu, you just look at past players or whatever, and you click somebody random and you look at their profile. If they want to be blocked in private, it should be private then. And for like if you queued up with them in QP, it would be set to have whatever they want it to be set to. But for comp, I agree with Cause, it should hide the enemy team's profiles, so you can't see, you don't know who's doing what until you get in there. But for comp, it should always be public for your team. But specifically for like the last 3 competitive seasons, you can go through and see what they played, what they've been hovering around, and what they've been doing for the past couple of seasons, and then you can base off of that. But it only does that, unless they leave their thing to public, in which case then it'll show you whatever you want. But if they have it set to private, even in comp, it could still just show the past 3 seasons of what they've done.
See, that's
I think that would be a lot better, because then the pros still would be able to tell. Because if it was like a boosted account, odds are they boosted it up in a season, and then probably played through a little bit more. So you would know if they went from like 2,800 straight up to 42.
Yeah. See, that's a that going into what you said about just showing the few, that's one of the things that a lot of the higher ups and the professionals have been talking about. It is like just at a minimum, let us be able to see at least the top 3 heroes that they play, or just more along the line preferred heroes. Like have a way to, in your career profile, you can set 3 heroes aside on your there on your profile, and set your 3 preferable heroes that you can play if you need to switch. So at least you give your teammates an idea of what you play, what you're going to be able to do, what your comfort picks are. So it's like, even if you're going into solo queue, there's no way you're going to be able to tell, like, hey, that guy's a tank main, or that guy's a damage main, or a support main. There's no way to tell if their profile is private, so you have to be pretty much in a guessing game. But if you at least got like three heroes up there, say you have a soldier, Zarya, and a Leo, so that person flexes, so he can be whatever he needs to be. Or if it was me, for instance, Reinhardt, Winston, or Risa, they'd know I'm a main tank main. They don't have to worry about it, and I can just instantly pick those characters. And for support, same principle. It'd say they Moira, Zen, and Anna, so they're a main healer main. They can main heal pretty well. So at least that alleviates some of the inconsistency of not knowing what to deal, not knowing how to build your team comp. Because composition is a huge portion of Overwatch, and that's been made blatantly obvious since day one. But with the private profile system, it takes a huge portion of what you could use to build that comp away from you. Usually what would happen is you would use your information that you found off the person's profile, be like, okay, this guy really likes to play Widowmaker. Okay, we will play a comp around Widowmaker, or we'll play a comp around Diva, so on and so forth. There's always been a reasoning behind it, and I know why they went to the profile system, because people go on there, and if they don't pick their most preferred played hero, their most played hero, they're instantly considered throwing, and they're instantly considered toxic because they're not picking their comfort pick. When in all actuality, if you're just playing something else that you're also good at, why complain? But see, that goes with the risk of you not knowing if that's true or not. So they just made it private. So it's pretty much that the bad outweighed the good because the bad got heard more than the good. And that's kind of messed up because it makes a competitive game, like I stated earlier, it makes a competitive game that is based off of information that you gather harder to play because now one of your sources of information gathering has now been stripped from you. You cannot see it anymore, and you are now limited in being able to help your team win that match. Because if you go to play competitive and you're only focused on you as a person, as an individual winning the game, then you need to not be playing competitive. Individually, yes, competitive is the ultimate stage for you to mechanically and individually advance and get better. Because the higher your rank goes, the harder your games are, and the more you have to focus on your individual skill. But then when you get into a team environment, that skill becomes not as relevant and more of a team-based, in more of a actual team setting as scrims and pugs and stuff of that nature. But when you're in that environment by yourself and you're solo queuing, you want that information to help so you can see how to help your team, and you have to make it a team environment. So taking away that ability to be able to see that information and read it, I personally find is kind of redundant. I think it defeats the purpose of being able to look at stuff, and I think that the bad/toxic talks that were happening because people were looking up people's profiles should not have outweighed the good, but the good never got talked about. Because if someone just looked at their profile and, hey, you can play this, it's fine, I can be something else, that was never heard of. That was never talked about. That was never reported. All they ever got to see and all they ever got reports of were people seeing that they play Mercy, but they're actually playing Zenyatta. Oh, they're throwing. And they got reported for game sabotage, or there's a giant post on Reddit about how people flamed them into the dirt and now they're crying and they don't want to play Overwatch anymore because of one experience. Those are the things that get outheard compared to the good, which I feel is kind of sad because I feel that it ruins something that's really resourceful for individual players, not only in a in a solo queuing environment, but also a pug or scrim setting environment as well. So, moving on, let's now talk to the endorsement system. The endorsement system was added the minute the looking for a group or LFG system was added into the game. A lot of people were a little bit confused, and a lot of people don't really know how to look at it. I
do it with
get
my
the
eyes
idea.
mostly.
I get the idea of it. I really do. I understand it. They're wanting to reduce the toxicity of the Overwatch community, which had been a reoccurring problem and started getting more and more and more of an issue, and it was not stopping. Like, it was consistently getting worse. So they added the endorsement system to try to alleviate the wound, pretty much. A way to bleed it out, see if we could get some help with it. I have experienced with the endorsement system two things. One, that it does in fact actually make people not be as toxic. They try to watch what they say, watch what they do, and so on and so forth. In the first, I would say, week to 2 weeks of when it was released, I noticed a drastic drop in toxicity. I noticed a drastic improvement in people's voices, and I know a lot of Reddit communities, a lot of the Reddit community was speaking along the lines of people being quote-unquote fake nice. But I will also say what someone commented on there, and it was the top upvoted comment of the whole thread, was that fake nice is better than not being nice at all.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely agree. Hey, I'd rather you be as fake as a politician to me about it. Be as fake as you need to be. But if you can make it to where I can enjoy my gaming experience and I can do the same for you, then okay. It's a win-win. Everything's fine. But the problem is now, the competitive games I played yesterday with one of my damage dealers and competitive games I've played throughout the week of last week, I was getting endorsements for nothing. Literally nothing. I had one of the guys, the Zarya that I spoke of earlier during story time there, the Zarya that we had, he simply stated, who wants what endorsement? And I jokingly said, hey, give me shot caller. And yeah, I was calling things out, but I don't really technically consider it being shot calling. It was basic information. But I still got the shot caller role. And then I got 2 sportsmanship. And then I got 2 cooperative. I got so much endorsements for doing nothing. And then the match after that, we had literally no one talking. I got endorsements still. I didn't say anything. No one said anything. I still got endorsements.
Yup.
Why is that? Because the community is now abusing it because they find it as a joke. And I understand its concept, I understand its ideology, and I understand thing. But now that the community understands it is literally nothing but a joke, they're starting to just abuse it. I've been asked multiple times, what endorsement do I need more than anything? I'd say, hey, I'm low on leadership. I'm low on shot caller. Bam, I get 2 shot caller endorsements right then and there. And it's just, now it's like the whole system that they created that was trying to help the community is now being treated as so belittled, is getting so belittled that this great thing that I really get where Blizzard was going with it has now just been turned into nothing but a good boy, what people are saying, a good boy badge. That's all that is. There's nothing that deters you. There's no real incentive. People say, oh, you get loot boxes.
No.
Man, I'm almost silver border. I have everything. What is loot boxes going to get me? Couple of coins? If I'm lucky.
Now, I'd like to interject that while it is a bit strange to be able to just give merits like that willy-nilly without, any kind of like actual necessity facilitating that achievement, like, just asking for achievements and then giving them. The only benefit you get when you endorse another player is XP, though, which I think has been interesting. You get 50 experience points for each person you endorse. So if you're trying to level up, it doesn't matter who you endorse as long as you endorse, because you get rewarded for that yourself. And you get to reward other people. And quote unquote, it improves the experience overall. Now, while it is strange that you can just ask for an achievement and then get it, wouldn't you argue that it's better to have someone who is actively talking, being nice and positive for the group, getting merited for that alone? Not necessarily since that you were, shot calling or anything like that, but you were attempting to contribute. And they recognize that, and therefore they tried to help merit you where you needed it. So I understand that it's a bit strange that people could just, and a bit kind of off-putting that people can just willy-nilly throw endorsements any way they can. And while it is a bit upsetting that you can't re-endorse somebody you've done recently, friended with or grouped with or whatever shenanigans those are, but at the end of the day, I think that as long as people, like, if you're giving the enemy team the standard, they were positive, they weren't being, butts about it, you know what? Fair enough. But if you're constantly just giving your friends, like, you were a shot caller, you were a teammate, stuff like that, I think if you're getting into it, it's a bit demeriting. But if you just throw this person was a positive teammate, that endorsement, you can get a bunch of those, and it'll be just as worthy as the other ones. But
I will say, to snowball off of what you just said, just a quick little quip it, I do endorse my enemy teams if they are polite. If it's if it is in the match chat, and they're polite the whole game, or they're just having fun, or they're like, "Oh, Ryan, crazy pin, man," or I say something to interject them, and we make a joke out of it, and they're actually being good sports about it, they do receive an endorsement from me.
Yeah, and I really like that they made it so that way you can endorse the enemy team as well, because that also merits that even though your own team might not give you something, as long as you're being a positive enemy, not one that's consistently trolling. Not in the sense that you're constantly shutting someone down, doing your job, but in the sense that you're harassing somebody. You Tracer kills the McCree that's supposed to be getting her, and then starts teabagging him, putting the spray on him, or typing in chat, mad because bad, lol, or whatever.
Easy, all
Easy
that.
clap. Yeah. But when you try and actually approach it, professionally, or just actually try and attempt to do it, and you harass the enemy and do your job, but you leave it at that, you did what you were supposed to do, and therefore you should get merited for what you have done properly. But having it so that way anybody could just throw it around, it's good and bad. It's obvious that their intents were in the right spot. They couldn't put words to thought is all. But I'm guessing that's why they're coming out with another. I saw that Jeff, or one of the designers, stated that there's already plans to improve and upgrade the LFG system. I'm not sure if they also stated that about the endorsement as well, but it certainly sounded like, even though they just put this out, it doesn't sound like they're quite done yet. They've got some more stuff they want to work on, which I think is excellent.
Absolutely.
They could have totally pulled a beginning of Overwatch shit where it's like stuff. Oh God, my mouth is terrible today.
You're fine.
Hey, but when comparative to even just the interface alone, when Overwatch first came out, at the time we were just excited to start playing Overwatch and all that, but thinking about how much they've done to literally just the user phase outside of the game itself, the amount of inside game tweaks where it's not even map or character based, it's obvious that when they finished this game, it was playable. It wasn't how they had wanted it because they had to get it out by their deadline like they said they would, but they made it playable and enjoyable. And I feel like over the time, they've added stuff, they've improved the hero select screen, the hero roster itself when you go in there, they made it more in depth, they're adding all this flair and shenanigans to it. So I definitely think that while it is incredible that they finally did an LFG and endorsement-esque system, and while it is still floundering around now, there's already been the statistics where it's shown that it's positively increased overall, and that's how long has this system been out now? A month, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's been about a month, 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, and it's already dropped down that much. Let's just imagine what it's going to be like once this is, actually had some time to fully bake through. I mean, what we're dealing with right now is we just threw it in the oven. We've just checked it out. There's some bubbles rising, but it's not fully done yet. So I'm really excited to see what Overwatch is going to pull out of their oven next.
I agree. I think it'll be interesting.
Quite spicy.
Kaz, what are your thoughts on this endorsement system, my friend? I know I've played some matches with you where we've gotten some random endorsements, and even you've said you've gotten random ones for no reason. Just that fact alone, how does the endorsement system make you feel? You think that it's actually doing its job? Do you agree with Talon that we could possibly be seeing a drop further in toxicity?
I feel like it's trying to do its job, but it is getting abused. Because I'll get shot caller for making 3 calls in a game, and I don't think that's necessary. Like, I'll track some ults, I'll tell them what they have, but that's not
more than what
It's
other
more
people
than
have
a
done.
lot of the community does, man.
Exactly, and I think that's why people are just trying to get on that and start meriting that, so that way it becomes more of a normal thing.
Because I've
Yeah.
noticed that shot caller is probably the most sought after endorsement people ask for all the time.
Yeah,
I
because
see that
it
one's
means
more
that
common.
people are going to be looking to you for answers of what's happening in the game.
Yeah. But see, in a way, that could be a good thing and a bad thing. Because
Yeah.
they could just be a person that has a ton of shot caller endorsements, but they don't even have a mic. Like that can backfire
Z-Dog.
really well.
Like our
I was just about to say
yeah.
Z-Dog.
Yeah, Z-Dog, that's true.
Z-Dog.
But to snowball a little further into the endorsement system and kind of take a step back, and let's look at the problem in a whole, not just the endorsement system period. I'm talking the problem that started this endorsement system, the main issue that caused this endorsement system to become a living, breathing entity of itself, and that is the
System of a Down.
toxicity.
Oh,
Well, that too. That is a very good song. I wish we could sound clip that into this segue. That would have been incredibly good. But
next time.
that is a reoccurring problem that Overwatch has had for since its conception.
Since beta?
Pretty much, the whole toxicity of the community has been a problem for Overwatch for a very long time. And at first, I feel that it was not as bad. It was very bearable. There was less of it. And people usually just kind of ignored everybody and did their own thing. But I think the older Overwatch has gotten, the way it has changed, it has forced people to do the things they do, act the way they act. It's more that the game has started to become more toxic because the way the game has turned out and the way people are acting. But the thing is that people need to really get the grasp of is that toxicity in a FPS shooter is nothing new. I remember the OG days of playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on my Xbox 360, which was I was like 13. Oh, I'm old.
Don't feel it. Don't think about it.
It's a while back, and that is one of those scenarios where toxicity. Well, I don't even really think people were using the word toxicity at that time. I don't know if that was slang just yet, but the amount of times you would get flamed and called out because they didn't have just team chat. Like, you'd go sit in the lobby before a match.
Lobby chat, yeah.
You would have a lobby chat, and lobby chat was the biggest cesspool you could ever go into. Like, think of just the worst sounding human being you can think of, and then multiply it by 10 and put it on really low auxiliary powered mics that sound terrible.
Kind of like PUBG when you're waiting to start the map.
Kind of, yeah. But see, PUBG is a meme. PUBG uses it as a meme. They understand it's a joke, so they run it as a joke. Okay. See, I'll go ahead and tell you why I got so much flack. Because I loved the Riot Shield. I love the Riot Shield. The Riot Shield was my favorite weapon in the game, and I loved gimping people with it. And especially when you were playing Terminal, which is the one with the airplane, I'd go hide in the airplane. People would funnel in there, and I'd find them. I mean, hey, you're dumb enough to come in there and try to contest me with a Riot Shield, then you're dumb enough to die.
That's on you, bud.
It's completely on you. I am completely avoidable. I am avoidable. I am an avoidable obstacle that does not need to be dealt with. But people came in there anyway, and I loved it. It's like, I guess that's why I like Reinhardt so much. Huh. What do you know? But maybe that just like when you dying to me being in a Riot Shield is your own fault. But see, when we'd go back into the lobby, I would get called a wuss. I'd get called a gay, a faggot. I would get called everything under the sun, racial slurs and everything, because I just simply used a weapon in the game to win a match.
Because it's your fault they all came through the plane and you were there.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So I would get all of this hate on me for no reason other than the fact that people were messing up of their own accord. And, I never took offense to it. I was just like, meh, it is what it is. I'm like, hold on. I need to fact check when Modern Warfare 2 was. I'm gonna hate myself for this.
Dude, I remember getting World at War on Christmas Day, dude.
2009.
Oh!
It's 2009, man.
God.
That's almost 10 years ago!
Oh, that's a big oof. Oh.
Ow.
Okay.
That hurt.
It's gone.
Besides that, I was fucking 14.
You were just a wee little Oz.
I was 14. Oh my god, that makes so much sense. Okay,
Same.
you know, being 14, you don't think about anything of that nature. You just kind of brush it off. But you know, I wasn't getting insulted by people my age. I was getting insulted by full grown ass men.
Oh,
People that
squeakers.
are like in their 20s and 30s, and like these are men insulting a 14-year-old in a video game.
It's supposed to be the other way around, I thought.
Yeah, that's what
Especially
I heard. I
with
mean,
COD.
but see, let's transition to nowadays. Overwatch being one of the more popular games out there in the world to play, one of the most popular games that is streamed daily. So, why does it have the same problem that Modern Warfare had? People die in that game all the time. People get flamed in it all the time. So why is it so much more promoted in this toxic way? Why is it, unlike Modern Warfare, who did not have a Twitch audience for people to follow, you had to follow YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
So it had no way to promote it. It had no way to do anything. Overwatch, you can't match chat, which I imagine, my God, that would be horrid.
That'd be awesome.
But imagine if Overwatch was back in that day, same principle, same problem that Modern Warfare 2 had. When Modern Warfare 2 is arguably one of the most popular games of all time, it had the same issue Overwatch had, or is currently having and has been dealing with, which is toxicity. So why was Modern Warfare 2 glossed over with a piece of saran wrap while Overwatch is being hammered home like an axe and chisel that it is a problem?
Because it's not being hosted to Disney Channel, ESPN, and all those other places. They're actually trying to make it a legitimate thing, and that's their downfall. They've got to make it so that a way every age can enjoy it. And by doing so, they've got to really make it so every age can enjoy it, and that ruins it. If you make the game, it's a bit like Syndrome, how he put it. If you make everyone special, then no one is.
You got me monologuing.
You sly dog.
No, I agree with
I'm gonna
you.
watch that again.
I agree with you, but it's also like, look at this. Look at how Call of Duty has aged compared to Overwatch. It's aged poorly, but look, they still make sales. Their games have significantly dropped in its overall value, but has still managed to make sales. It has still managed to have a really big eSports following, and it's still managed to be the juggernaut that it still is for FPS players. And everyone knows that Call of Duty and Battlefield hold those two ranks, even though they are very bad games. They still hold the number 1 and number 2 slots for FPS shooting games. Now, Call of Duty has not really changed much of its formula since then. Heck, even its fan base hasn't really evolved past what it is right now and what it was back then. But why Overwatch? Why has Overwatch gotten so aggressive? Why has it become such a cesspool that these people talk about? And if anyone is ever curious, and when I mention a cesspool of Overwatch, if you go look at Overwatch's Reddit, the Reddit has multiple posts of people complaining of toxicity to the degree of degrading people so bad that people are literally leaving the competitive match, jumping out of the match just to leave, just to get away from it, just to avoid the toxicness and to get away. When I understand that we shouldn't be toxic to anyone at all, and hey, I am 100% for that. I do not believe that anyone should be bullied. I do not believe that anyone should be discriminated against in any way, shape, and form. You paid for this game. You have every right in this world as a human being to enjoy this game. But if you're going to leave the match because someone is being toxic and then throw it for everyone, think of the one or two other people in that match that weren't being rude to you, that weren't just saying anything and trying to leave the match. And now they're losing because you left the match because you got your feelings hurt. It's not just you need to think of when you make that decision. You need to think of everyone that's involved with you in that scenario, because everyone is involved. The whole team is involved. Overwatch is a team-based game, not an individual-based game. Modern Warfare 2, you can leave a match anyway. They'll find someone else to grunt. It don't matter. You get pulled into another match as fast as you got out of one. But Overwatch, it doesn't have that luxury, especially in a competitive game. And I understand a lot of those posts are directed towards the female sex.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand, there's always going to be the trolls, sexist trolls, and all of that stuff. I agree with respect women. I grew up in a Southern household. I am a Southern gentleman, and I will always respect a lady no matter what the chances are.
Milady.
Tips Fedora, milady. But I will also say that I think that you need to just leave. Like, leave the chat, leave the voice chat, and play the game and enjoy it. Now, with the LFG system, I have met 5 or 6 females talking on there compared to when beforehand I wouldn't hear any.
Yeah.
Which is good, because that means that they're willingly talking, which is good. You need to feel that freedom. You paid for this game. You have every right to do so. But don't let 1 to 2 people in that match that are being rude and ruining your game experience make you, in turn, ruin it for someone else who's not doing anything and is an innocent in this collateral. You got to think of everyone in the scenario.
You brought up a really good point earlier, how awful it was to deal with Call of Duty chat rooms and stuff like that. It's strange? I never had that issue, because I would literally mute every dumb butt I went into chat with. So I never had that issue.
Dumb butt's an amazing insult. Can we bring that back, please?
And it's so strange because, they didn't get rid of the muting ability. It's still there.
It's still there.
Just that people would rather complain about a problem rather than fixing it. United States in general. But, we're just going to keep, we can solve the problem, or we can just acknowledge the problem is there and keep making that louder and louder until someone does something about it.
See,
God forbid do something ourselves.
Yeah. See, the one thing that I did in Call of Duty that made it easier for me to deal with people that way, I would never go into that chat. Why? Because I would party up with my friends.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have any friends. 1, I'm sorry. 2, there are plenty of people that would willingly group up with people. You need to just look. If you're not looking, that's on you. The LFG system now gives you no excuse. It gives you no excuse. And I see it constantly, these posts are in lower tier competitive rankings. Not meaning to sound like an elitist, but I have never been to that tier of gameplay before. I am not aware of its standards. But, besides the point, regardless of your rank, top 500 to bronze, you shouldn't... You can literally have so much control watch experience now that it is almost laughable. It's almost laughable how much control you have of it now. The only thing you do not have control of now is who you are match made with. That's it. You have control over everything. You can control the group you're with, what they talk about, if they have a mic or not, what they play, and everything. You have every bit of control to handle this. But people don't want to handle it. And I understand, I see these 4 or 5 paragraph long conversations about the toxicity of the game and all this scenario. And honestly, I'll say, I am a person that believes in fair justice to everyone. Everyone has the right to defend themselves, and everyone has a right to speak their piece. no matter the situation, no matter the subject. So in these long posts, no one ever puts a screenshot of the text chat. No one ever puts video recordings of the situation that happened.
No one is supposed to follow up then.
Exactly.
They make this long post, and you think
how is Blizzard supposed to help? Blizzard wants to help. They've proven that. The endorsement system, the LFG, they listen to their community. They want to help. How can they help off of just going off of a long text chat that literally looks like you're writing in your diary? How are they supposed to help that? Oh, you're going to say, Big Butt McGee 77 told me I should go die.
Oh.
Okay, where's your proof? Wait, did you report him through our system? No. Okay, did you take a screenshot of it and that's why you're here? No. Did you record it? No. Do you have a phone picture of it? No. How are we supposed to help? Where's the evidence? It's just like the justice system.
Did you friend them so that at least we know who it is?
Exactly. There, you could even do that. But if you don't do that, no one can help. No one can help. If you want help, you have to be proactive.
Yeah.
And being proactive, especially in this scenario, if you are a girl and if you're a female and you're afraid of that, don't be. You have so much control right now of what happens that you can get people legitimately banned. They can never play Overwatch again banned if it's bad enough. So if you can have that much control and that much power in your hand that you can do is if you just put a little bit of work to it, why are you on Reddit typing this 4-paragraph, 5-paragraph autobiography of what happened to you? Instead, you could be proactive with it and make sure that person never hurts another person again. When I say that you need to think of everyone when you leave a match, I mean that in a legitimate way. If you want to help the community, be the change that you want to be. And I know people have said that, and it's like, oh, well, I'm tired of playing healer. I got told to be the change I want to be. I've been a healer for 4 seasons now. This is on a whole different scale of just gameplay. This is an overall communal problem that can be solved if we work together and help one another.
If we did it.
Exactly, if we did it. And I mean, I know me and Cooper have played a lot of games where people have been toxic to us, and it throws us into a loop of aggression and anger, and we don't want to play. We get tilted. We get the typical tilt that happens when the enemy team is rude. And every time that happens, and they are just to the point of where we get tilted because of that, Cooper, what do we do every time? All the time?
Screw it, leave, report.
Exactly. We leave after the match is done. We leave the reports. That is why the report system is there. It is there for us to take the problem that we're having
and solve
it. We have the tools for it. Reddit is not going to solve it for you. Yeah, a lot of stuff happens with Reddit. Blizzard has proven that they read the Reddit quite frequently.
Oh, they love Reddit. That's probably in their spare time.
I mean, honestly, look at what happened to XQC. He's went through hell because of the Reddit. And that's why a lot of people discredit a lot of it, because a lot of people don't like him. And a lot of people go on this tangent about how annoying he is, or this, and he said that, yada yada, with no clips or anything to prove it, and he gets in trouble from Blizzard. You see what can happen with Reddit is you can use it, but it takes a while. But the reason the whole XQC and the pros get in trouble is because they're known. They have a following, and that following means they have exposure. And when you have exposure, it means you're an easier target. But these little snippets here are never going to get solved by just constantly posting on Reddit and hoping it can be fixed. Because at that point, the communal problem isn't everyone. I'm not toxic when I get on there. I may crack a joke, but if someone takes offense to it, I apologize. Always do. But if someone is on there specifically just to ruin everyone's time and be this just toxic force, to be aggressive and to flame everyone, then that's an individual problem. And that individual can be dealt with and can be punished if the steps are followed with the tools that we have to make sure they are punished.
If you enforce justice, justice will be enforced. But if you don't enforce justice, enforce won't be just.
Enforces won't be just. Justice is enforcing justice. Justice. Farrah intensified. But I will say that I see we've been here for over an hour now, so I guess we'll make closing statements.
I like bacon.
Same.
Oh, no.
Get out, Cause. How dare you not like bacon?
I like bacon, but I can only have like 3 pieces
you
maximum.
started with, I don't like it, so...
But isn't it kosher?
Isn't it kosher, Cause?
Apparently not all of it. I don't know. I'm not even Jewish!
That's not my fault. You started with, I'm not sure.
It's a little suspicious now, Cause.
It's a little suspicious, Cause.
It's a little suspicious.
Yeah, it's suspicious that he has a disease that makes it so he can't really ingest bacon.
I'm just gonna.
Kaz has his profile set to private, so you can't tell if he's Jewish.
Scumbag.
What? I'm just gonna go.
All right. The closing statements, boys. I think we can all agree the LFG system is good for the game. It's getting tweaked. Blizzard has responded saying that they are going to be tweaking it a little bit more, which is good, which shows that they are reading feedback of the community, showing that we are getting ready to have a wave of changes happening for that system to make it easier and more efficient. I think we all can agree that the endorsement system is a good idea in concept, but as currently as it sets, the execution is not up to par. But we all can agree that it is helping with the overall issue of toxicity in the game here of Overwatch. And lastly, the overall toxic community that we know, love, and hate. I think that we all know how to solve the problem. We as a community can do it. We need to band together to do it. Be proactive. Everyone that's watching and listening and wanting to make a difference in the game that you love so much and that we all love and want to play, be proactive. Be the change you want this game to be. Don't let people intimidate you. Do not let people bully you. You have so much control of this game that it is actually astounding how much you have in your hands and how much power you truly possess.
And so how much you actually use.
Exactly. You have the tools. We have the tools. As a community, we have the tools.
We can rebuild! If Superman gets powered up by the sun, do you think Superman's going to spend his time with the mole people? Obviously not. So let's put ourselves in the power where we can get power over the situation, guys.
Power of Grayskull, guys. Power of Grayskull. We can do this together as a community. Just remember, guys.
You can do it!
We can do this together as a community. We can do this as a community. We can get rid of the toxicity and get this game into a much better state. Don't let people bully you. Enjoy the game you've been given. And if you're looking to try to come back into Overwatch, or you may be trying to find a reason to come back to Overwatch, I'll tell it to you like this. Come back. It's not as bad as Reddit makes it out to be. It's not like Reddit is saying it is, the worst thing that has ever touched the planet, and it is actually burning a physical hole to the core waiting to detonate the planet itself. It is not that bad. It is actually perfectly okay.
Isn't that right, Nutmeg?
So,
Speak.
We are going to be ending our podcast here, boys. Thank you, everyone that has come out to view the podcast. These will now be recorded, and they will be available for your later view back at any point in time. Catch up on the series. We are going to be continuing next Saturday as well. Every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time. We will be here podcasting, talking about situations and issues here in the Overwatch community. If you have any ideas that you would like to hear the rest of KG talk about, please feel free to leave any comments. Leave some info for us. Tell us
Don't
what
forget
you
to
want.
like and subscribe too.
Exactly. We're on
And
YouTube,
follow.
Twitch. Follow, like, subscribe.
Ring that bell.
Support the group. Give us an idea of what you would like to hear us talk about and kind of throw around the round table here. So, thank you for everyone that come out. Thanks for all the support. We'll see you guys next Saturday at 1 for another episode of Overcast. This is KG signing off for this Saturday.
Bye-bye.
You know what I
Adios.
realized during all this?
How much you hate seafood?
I love seafood, but no.
Oh.
I've had one of our older scrims against Schism playing the whole time. I am shit. That was horrible. Terrible, shitty Zarya play from me.
Hey,
I
Coop,
was just
thanks
watching
for,
and listening. This is bad.
hey, thanks for ruining my good ending segue there.
I can't cancel it.
No, it
before
ends
you
with
get
a
that
joke.
up.
Screw yourself. We ended on something funny. And I feel like
Let's get this
insulting
podcast
myself
acting
is funny.
professional. Got it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.